I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the Filthy Capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and then get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at Vin&Sori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Yep. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go on the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch, indeed. A child shall lead them.
All right.
Oh, look. I have an official term now. Vinnerisms.
Yes.
Vinnerisms, bitch. You know what? I might do a little 5-minute thing called Vinnerisms. This is a Vinnerism, blah, blah, blah,
You
blah,
really
blah,
should.
blah, blah, blah.
That should be like a Patreon thing.
I'm working on my theory of everything. That's going to be like a 9-hour, but that would be a 9-hour thing. If I actually did a theory of everything.
No, what you do is you just keep putting little Vinnerisms out until you can, get your entire theory.
Oh, and then you put them together. It's kind of like the Transformers.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't really.
My face is itching, and
I sit back and I'm like, if
Probably
I
has
was
to do with the black mold in our
watching
bathroom.
me, would I care about my theory of everything? And I really wouldn't.
you would.
No, I honestly I wouldn't.
You would.
No, I really wouldn't. I really would.
Honey, I really feel like you're lacking self-awareness because anybody that puts stuff out in a very good way, you always listen.
I'm the main guy that's been talking about self-awareness. Here this person is trying to tell me I don't.
Yeah.
And
Who believes that Vin wouldn't watch himself? Babe, you watch yourself now.
No, I watch the people I debate. Okay. The name of this song is Ghost. And I am a little bit confused because I know I saw it downloaded, and for some reason, I can't find it.
Dumb Butt and Holy Moly would be in the Vin book.
Oh! I forgot to hit the download button. That might have something to do.
Okay.
That might have something to do with it, guys. Please
so
watch.
We are doing a live stream. This is the last song of the live stream. This is for the big homie Chad, and the last song.
That's
on his
Chad's
list,
symbol right there, y'all. That's Chad's
is
symbol.
Imminence-Ghost, and I am very interested in hearing this song as soon as Vinny gets it up.
Yes.
In the meantime, if you too want a DJ stream, the way to do that is to email us Vin&Sori@gmail.com and put in the subject that you want a DJ stream, and we'll give you the details on that.
Oh Lord! I also have a new neologism. Vengeance. What happens when you debate Vin and he's on the roll? I don't really do a lot of debates. I do massacres.
Oh! Saying everybody.
All right. Let's do it, guys. Imminence-Ghost. Let's go. No, we got to change that.
He said to watch the video on the side. Do you think it's going to get blocked?
Huh?
He said to watch the video on the side. Do you think it'll get blocked?
We'll see. Yes, Pinky! Holy shit. That's deep, bro. This guy Chad is deep as hell, bro. Chad, what's wrong with you, bro? Wow.
Poll coming up.
Yeah, there's definitely a poll coming up for sure. So like I said, this is a deep song, and I'm very glad that we risked it for the official video, guys. I know. Right before we died. Refresh it, babe.
Oh, we're back.
Oh, we're back.
Vin, I'm very glad we take the chance. Boom! Stream violation comes up.
Literally, I was just saying, guys, you know, we take a risk every time we whatever.
And it was way funnier for me because I completely disagreed with playing that after we already have a strike. I was completely 1000% against it, and then I'm like, but shit always works out for him. But then just as you said it, that happened. It was too funny. Okay. Yeah, that's true. If we ever get banned, change the channel name to Sori and Vin.
Yeah. I you know,
That's true.
I'm not gonna live in fear. I'm not gonna live in fear, bitches. I'm not gonna live in fear. Plus, you know, people work hard-earned money to get these streams. So
but he said put it on the side so we still would have seen it.
Yeah, he's still here. Everything is good. I'm not mad at the homie.
No,
everybody got to see it though. Everybody got to see it.
Born to be banned.
Yeah.
Okay. So, everybody got to see it. I got to see it too. It was hilarious. Okay, this song, I have to say, I'm a fan of this band.
Yeah. I just found I was gonna say I didn't want to like completely, you know, give away the farm, but I was like, okay, I found another band.
Yeah. First of all, the way
I found
that
a band
I
can rock with.
There's a darkness in the distance. It's like the calm before the storm. Dark clouds stalk my every move.
Yeah.
I can't see the light from above. Can't see the forest for the trees.
Yeah, he
can't break free.
Yeah, he's. But what was really crazy was, this is my soul. This is my soul. Okay, now let me ask you a question. Okay, what is a ghost?
A disembodied soul.
Right. So, but notice what he says in the song. Can you tell my ghost that he doesn't belong here anymore? Mm-hmm. And right above that, he says, "This is my soul." He's saying, "This is my soul. This is my soul." So my ghost doesn't belong here anymore because this is my soul. So if a ghost is a disembodied soul, and he's saying this ghost no longer belongs with me because it's a disembodied soul, then what is he saying doesn't belong with him? He's saying this is my soul, so the ghost doesn't belong, but the ghost itself is a soul too, right?
Yeah.
So what is he saying? Because you see what I'm saying? It's apparently there's a part of himself that he's moved on from.
Yeah.
Is what it looks like to me.
Yeah.
That there is a... Go ahead.
I thought that going by, not the visuals, but going by the lyrics, I thought he was feeling like his life was over.
I think I agree with what Sadie was saying, which is he's probably referring to a part of himself that he's killed off. Right. So he's moved on from something. And that thing is now a ghost and no longer part of what he's considering his person anymore.
Oh.
Is what it looks like to me. So there's a back and forth, dark cloud stalk my every mood. So it could be addiction, it could be a person. How can I raise these walls when the ground beneath my feet is crumbling, searching for the answers in the darkness of my soul, can't find the remedy for the pain to let me go?
Mm. Can you tell my ghost that he doesn't belong here anymore? Find another host, because this is my soul, my soul.
Right. So,
yeah,
that's really interesting because you can look at host in a, I don't want to say a passive way, but in a non-hostile way, or you can look at host in a hostile way. So, like for example, if a demon is inhabiting a person, the person is the host, but that's a hostile version of a host, right? Whereas, like for example, in Catholicism, when the bread transubstantiates to Christ, then the bread is basically the host. It's housing the body, soul, We
don't believe that actually happens, just for full disclosure.
The body, spirit, soul, and divinity of Christ, right? It becomes a host. So what I'm saying is, like, he's saying that there was some part of him that basically had possession of him that he has since been able to extricate himself from. And so what he's saying is he doesn't want, it's a very poetic way of saying he doesn't want those old habits or that addiction or that person to come back into their life. There's no longer any room for you. This is my soul.
Yeah, I wonder if, so there's a darkness in the distance. It's like the calm before the storm. Well, then, he says, I can't break free.
I hear the devil speak. That line was crazy.
Yeah.
I hear the devil speaking tongues. As water rises in my lungs, tell me where's the remedy for the pain to let me go. I can't break free. This is my soul. So somebody's saying it looks like he's dealing with some sort of substance abuse issue. Hey, Chris, we're Christians. It looks like he's dealing with some substance abuse issues.
Well, I am. He's a Muslim.
Salam lek. Shout out to Chris the Mormon, everybody. Shout out to Chris the Mormon in the house. Boop bap. Okay. I hear the devil speak in tongues. That's really interesting because didn't you have a family member? So glossolalia is the technical term for speaking in tongues, right? And it's a phenomenon, obviously, in the Christian church and Pentecostal traditions, but there is a pagan or a non-Christian version of glossolalia. So I forgot the name of that show. There is a movie. And it was about this guy. And my brother loved this movie. I didn't really watch it, but it was like a kind of a famous movie in the 90s. Basically, it was this lawyer. It was with Gene Hackman. It was this lawyer. I think Cape Fear was the name of it. Cape Fear. Okay. So anyways, this lawyer, and he didn't get the guy off, and the guy was supposed to get off. The guy did like 20 years in jail. He then comes back and stalks the family, and they're on this cape, and so it's called Cape Fear. Anyway, the guy, sorry guys, spoiler, the guy dies in the end, and the way he dies is basically the good guy ties him basically to a thing and traps him, and then the water comes in, so the guy drowns. But as he's drowning, the guy starts speaking in tongues. He starts like, babbling or whatever, until he expires. It was pretty spooky. But anyway, like, we both grew up in a Pentecostal tradition. Did you know that there were non-Christian traditions that practiced glossolalia or speaking in tongues or whatever?
Well,
Did you know that?
You always saw it with like in this video, like people that looked like they were, like the witch doctors. You always saw them doing like some, and then their eyes are like rolling back their heads and stuff.
Yeah.
So I figured there was something there. Okay.
But did you know that there were, even like during the time of the church, that there were other tongue-speaking groups or cults or whatever?
I don't know. I mean, it's not something that would have been super significant to me. I just knew that, sometimes when somebody spoke in tongues, it was very off. There's something really weird about it. When I was in my previous cult.
When what?
People would start speaking in tongues sometimes, and it had a very weird, something is wrong here feeling.
Yeah. I was watching a documentary a couple of nights ago. We were watching it together. It was this woman. She had a near-death experience when she was 5, and then she was able after that to basically speak ancient Egyptian fluently, with accentuation and everything. I forgot the name of the specific syndrome that it was called. Yeah. But I remember we were arguing about it because you're like, oh no, he's not saying she knows the whole. Remember that argument? She knows the whole language. And I was like, no, he was saying that she knew the entire language. And then we looked it up, and sure enough, it was the entire language with accents and everything, and they have no idea how that happens.
Weird.
So. That
is weird.
That's a really interesting line. I hear the devil speaking tongues as water rises in my lungs. Like, I wonder, because I do, from the beginning of the channel, we've called them dark intelligences. Mm-hmm. And I don't, it doesn't matter to me. I don't care, like, what nomenclature people attach to it. Whether you say, me personally, right now, if somebody were to nail me down and say, what is a demon or what is the devil or whatever, I would say they are hostile interdimensional beings that have access to this dimension pretty regularly, right? Is what I would say. And there's no question right now. There's so much happening in the scientific world. Like, I feel like we're in the golden age of discovery as far as science goes. There's so many.
I totally agree. I think we're in the golden age of a lot of things because of the internet.
Yeah, there's so many just amazing, Bernardo Kastrup and Don Hoffman and just panpsychism, all these different, like, it's just so expansive. Even beyond, like, it's so weird. Like, when I'm watching these discussions of these highly intelligent people, like, I forgot the guy's name. Chris Langman, I think his name was. The highest IQ in the
that guy that's like 200
in America. Yeah, he's a 200, and he's like a bouncer at a bar, and he's got all these weights, and then he's like, yeah. So the instantiated number of the primal factor of the whatever makes it so that we're in a closed system in the universe, such that the universe has to identify itself, and that's what knowledge and information is, and blah blah blah. And then he's talking, and like he's effortlessly just saying all this stuff that's like. He's got this. Basically, his theory of everything is that what we call information or evolution is the universe making sense of itself. So anything that's real, his theory is that anything is real. Anything that has actual real ontology or reality has to be perceived. And so there's this whole theory of, okay, so is there an eternal observer, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, right.
And so he was talking about how most Western science is based on empiricism, and his is based on, I think, logical induction, I think it was, which he says is a more rigorous form of doing science, which obviously it is, because the way that you do science from an empirical basis is to guess and then measure how close your guesses are, right, with the mathematical formulation, whereas logical induction presupposes that you have to be completely accurate logically from step A to step Z, and it's like a giant Sudoku puzzle, and you can't miss on any of them. Right. So it's much more rigorous than what we call empirical science. It's much more rigorous. So I'm just looking at I'm listening to all these people, and I'm like, holy shit! Like, the universe is so much more expansive than what we first realized. And you talk about conscious agents, and
I think it's much better to be inductive than the other one.
I don't think there's any physicist that I've read or have watched that even believes that we're only limited to 3, technically 4 dimensions. Mm-hmm. So if you can see that there are multiple dimensions, then an interdimensional being that is hostile, that has effects in this dimension, I don't think is outside of anybody's scientific, paradigm. Mm-hmm.
Well, it's one of those things too that.
So it's just very interesting.
There's almost everybody like if not you, then somebody had some interaction with some being that they would say that was not normal. What just happened there? You know what I mean? Do you know what I mean?
No. No, I agree. No, I'm agreeing with you. And as Sadie's saying, we're finite avatars of an infinite energy. Well, yes, but that energy has to have some sort of consciousness, right? Otherwise, nothing you say would make sense. Which, of course, I agree with everything Sadie's saying. We are finite avatars to a degree. I think that's what it means to be an image bearer of God to a degree.
Right.
But yeah, but what this guy's talking about, I don't care how you formulate it, but all of us have things that are attached to us that we need to get rid of, that we need to kill. And it's really interesting because he calls it a ghost, which previous to this, when I was talking about the shadow and the difference between Jung and Christianity, and Jungian ideology, you integrate your shadow. Mm. In Christian ideology, you crucify your shadow. And so that's what this guy has done. What this guy has done is he's crucified it. He's killed it. That's why he's called it a ghost. So he's saying, no, that part of my shadow, I'm not integrating. I'm killing that motherfucker. And there are parts of you, and I don't know. I don't know if I found like a middle ground or something, but there's like, so for example, my relationship to violence. And I say to myself, like, okay, I need to completely crucify all inclinations toward violence. And then I go, yeah, but I'm not sure if that's totally right. Then I'm like, well, what do you mean you're not sure that is? So like, because I still like want that in my back pocket. Like if me and you are out at night, you see what I'm saying?
I do. And
I want to be able to have that card and not use it.
Okay, I totally, completely hear where you're coming from. And this is something that I've always thought, and I've only changed my mind recently because you're in my back pocket. But there's this idea where if you believe that your God is behind everything that's happening in your life, and if you're trusting in the supernatural aspect of things, then what you're seeing is there's more beyond what you're seeing than what you're seeing. And so in that situation, like there was this old lady that got, she's an old lady. What is she going to do? Somebody pulls her in her car. They're trying to take her money in her car or whatever. And she doesn't have violence in her back pocket. That's a non-option for her. And so she goes to what she believes is her greatest and strongest ally. And that is her religion and so she starts to talk to this guy. She said, I'm going to give you my purse, whatever. But then she starts talking to him about his life. She shares the gospel with him. The guy ends up deciding not to rob her. And his life was completely different and she was untouched. Now, right. I'm not saying that would work in every situation. I think that there are some very dark things that would happen regardless. But I do think that when you have violence as an option, it does take away from what supernaturally could have taken place.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
So like I said, I don't think in the supernatural realm, nowhere near as much as I used to, and I don't rely on it as much because you're right there. And so if there's a situation that pops off, my first thing is to go through the things that you've told me, step 1, 2, and 3, to get out of the situation, rather than saying, okay, God, what are you going to do in this situation? And you know what I mean? Like,
right. That's what I'm saying. And so like, it's very, very complicated.
And I think it's complicated as a man more so than a woman, because you feel to be a protector of our family. And I obviously feel like protect our family, but I also feel like I don't have that role as much as you do. However,
well, yeah.
If you were gone and I was home with the kids and some psychotic thing started, I don't see myself doing. I used to seeing myself, start talking to the person and, praying, and now I see myself going for the knife block. So I'm different than I was.
Boom, boom. Well, I think it's easier to hold to certain religious ideologies when you're in a nice, curated subculture.
Well, and like I said, if you have
you came in.
I didn't grow up around anybody that I thought would protect me.
That's true.
So.
Well, that's very, very true. But they also constructed a world in which people couldn't even say mean things to you, much less physically assault you. Like, you guys couldn't even say mean things to each other. Like, you guys weren't able to. You know what I'm saying? You guys.
Honey, we did, just not around our parents. If we said it around our parents, then we were gonna be in trouble.
I'm watching this conversation between Vlad and Alan. And Alan is so smart, and so is Vlad. So Vlad goes, as far as I can tell, ghosts, demons, etc. are more explanations for things that humans did not or do not understand. So then Alan goes, so interdimensional beings, Vlad. But it's like, it's the same shit.
Right.
Like, I love our community. It's the best. He's like, so interdimensional beings, like the man said.
Like the man said.
I gotta meet Vlad in 18 with it. And then, of course, there's Benji. My number 2 Finn is here. Who's your number 2 Finn, Ben? You? Because it's me and you. That's it.
Well, maybe it's on there.
Yeah, this Chad guy, the songs he selected are massively, massively deep. I don't know.
And what did you think about the snake that came rolling up in there?
Well, that's the other thing, is the video itself deserves a 4-hour exegesis.
Right. Well, you have to at least tell me what you think about the snake.
Well, I think the snake there at the end is his pessimism that he's going to be able to overcome this thing. So, like, there's a struggle, he's buried alive, blah, blah, blah. And then the last thing you see is this serpent, and he's got the thing, and he's breathing hard. And so it's kind of one of those, like open-ended kind of things. You know, like when the bad guy, like, reaches up his hand or whatever.
Okay, so here's a twist. Maybe it's not a twist, I don't know. So, when he's
It's
talking...
the ayahuasca snake, he says. And Vlad, I don't think he was dissing you. There's no diss. It's just, Vlad is just, like... very intelligent, processing the information like a computer. And then Alan is a little bit more present, so Alan was like, yeah, nigga, that's the same shit, nigga. What is wrong with you? Anyway, I love him. I love the interactions. I could not do this channel any other way. Can we talk about the snake killing the people in the exorcism? See, right now I want to watch that fucking video again, but we can't, because then YouTube is going to murder our channel.
Okay, so listen to this. So when it said this part, like, can you tell my ghost that he doesn't belong here anymore? And if you look at that as like fighting the sort of shadow self, this part was interesting, because when I read this part, I thought of baptism.
Oh, really?
I hear the devil speak in tongues as water rises in my lungs. Tell me where's the remedy for the pain to let me go.
You left it in the water, bro. That's a good one. Yeah, that's one of the things that I think that was probably the highlight of
what we did before.
That church we were part of, was the way that baptisms worked. Because in that church, like, usually in Christianity, in American Christianity, is like, you go through this very long, and you can almost see it in DDK as well, like this very long baptism course. Some of them are like 8 weeks, and we just did not see that in the Bible. In the New Testament, the minute that you made a profession, they just dropped you right where you were. So that's what we did. We're in a prayer meeting one time, and somebody went, and the girl, like, right there in the chair, like, got saved right in that chair. Like, met Jesus, had an experience with God, whole 9 yards. And somebody said, well, okay, well, if you're on the team, this is what we do in the fan. This is how you get in. This is how you get jumped in. And she goes, okay, I'm with it. So we took apart Kyle's bathroom, and we just dumped the girl right there. Like, we took apart the bathtub, and we just dumped her. And then the other girl... It was in this apartment in our nasty ass, moldy ass. Remember that?
And she just jumped in there, and that was like the best part of it. But like that was, you know, when you were talking about the devil speaking in tongues or whatever. What's interesting is at the end of the song, there's 2 lines specifically that Chad points out in the song that, well, not lines, but scenes in the video that Chad pointed out that was really crazy. One is a snake killing people in the exorcism. So there's an exorcism happen, and the snake ends up taking the people out. And then it says the snake protected him in the end.
It did?
Well, it depends on how you're interpreting the people that, you know, was around him. If you're interpreting the people as they're there to help him to get rid of this addiction or whatever the thing was chasing him, then the snake is bad, because then the snake is protecting itself, because the snake would be the representative of the addiction, or the snake would be representative of a malevolent force that's trying to keep you sick. And that one other thing that's really interesting is when you're in the throes of mania, whether it's drug-induced mania or chemical imbalance, you don't know who's on your team and who's not on your team. You don't know who's good or who's bad. So, for example, when you're seeing the witch doctor and all that stuff, like, do you think that dude had an experience with a witch doctor? More likely what ended up happening was he had an experience with a mental institution. See what I'm saying? And so then all the witch doctors are real doctors. But in reality, I've been in those institutions. And then you ask yourself, like, what is the real material difference between a witch doctor, a head shrinker, and a modern day, you know, practitioner of, especially in the field of psychology and psychiatry?
I think that both of them are problematic for different reasons. You know, you have one that's problematic because it seems like it's the witch doctor, it's all mostly spiritual. And then you have the other one that it seems like it's more just about chemicals and not like, is there a spiritual problem here? So it seems to me that the doctor and the witch doctor need to get together.
Yeah, well, no, what I'm saying is that the doctor, what you see as the witch doctor in the video is representative of the actual psychologists and psychiatrists that this guy has dealt with in his life. And what I'm saying is the effect or the mental state that he was in, and I'm saying this because maybe I'm projecting myself onto them, but I didn't feel that the vast majority of psychologists and psychiatrists at that institution knew what they were doing. I felt like a lot of it was guesswork. I mean, I had to sign releases. If you've ever been admitted into these things, if you're over 18, you have to sign a release that says, all the chemicals that I'm taking, yada, 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 I understand they're experimental and none of them are guaranteed, yada, yada, yada. And the only reason I even knew what I was signing, because all of us that were signing it were in obviously some drug-induced stupor, is Dr. Petzel went and explained all of it to me. She said, this is what it is, this is what's going on, yada, yada, yada. If it weren't for her, I wouldn't know. So my point is, when she explained that to me and I was looking around, I'm like, okay, so I just signed a document that says I know that all this shit is experimental. Experimental doesn't mean it's a complete, you know. It just means that
it has to be experimental because you're not dealing with, okay, if you severed your arm, how are we going to deal with it? There's protocol for that because everybody's going to be in basically the same situation. But when you're talking about mental issues, and you're talking about your spiritual issues, your soul issues, so many things that are undiagnosed because they're not seen. And then you have to couple that with your upbringing and the traumas that you've had and your own dark sinfulness and it's just all into this giant psychotic ball, and that's you.
Correct.
And so your doctor's like, okay, how are we going to fix this? Basically, how are we going to sedate this? Because, you know, there are some times where it's just a chemical imbalance inside your body and they can put you on something and it's going to straighten stuff out. But a lot of times it's a lot deeper than that. Sometimes you need the meds to straighten you out a little bit so that way then you can start seeing a therapist that can help you work through the issues of your past, and you can, you know, there's a lot of things that have to come together, and obviously your spirituality is a giant part of yourself that a lot of times people want to ignore. But I think sometimes some of our biggest meltdowns is because our soul, which is all too often forgotten by us, is in real trouble. our spirit is in real trouble. And I think that when our spirit is in real trouble, that it is going to show itself in lots of different ways. So, you know, if you're feeling a little off, you're feeling crazy, or you're feeling whatever, like perhaps it's your spirit. Have you given that a try?
Yeah, I think, you know, there's a lot of very good advances that modernism and postmodernism has gotten us. A lot of the intellectual revolutions that, let's say, the last 500 years, massively important, and the proof is in the pudding as far as the advancement goes. But simultaneous to that, it comes with a certain kind of arrogance. Oh, these people didn't have an iPhone. What the fuck do they know? Mm-hmm. And, you know, oh, those people didn't know shit back then. And now you've got the people at the pinnacle of human achievement as far as intellectualism and academia go, jumping on airplanes. I'm saying a guy like Sam Harris, jumping on airplanes and going into the jungles of the Amazon to learn about ayahuasca and DMT and all the rest of this shit from these dumb, religious, silly people who are superstitious and dumb, but for some reason have access to a sort of knowledge about the world that we're just now catching up to on the academic side of things.
What are you going to do with that?
And so I think there's a lesson there. Like, things are not as simple as the religious would have us believe, which is everything is a spiritual phantasm and gas ether somewhere. And things are not as simple as the naturalist, the physicalist would have us believe, which is this ridiculous notion that the only thing that exists in the universe is physical. Dumbness. That's ridiculous. Both ideologies are silly and do not account for the human experience. And that's why when you have songs about something as basic as, you know, mental illness or whatever it is that he's talking about, it gets visualized in this very religious context. And the reason is because there's a connection between the two. And as long as we're at war with each other, we're never going to figure it out. Yep. We need both sides. If you look at humanity as one person, one cumulative person, we have a personality that is extremely intellectual, and then you have a personality that is extremely spiritual, and then you have a personality aspect of the human nature that is extremely emotional. So what happens is that the accumulated artists handle the emotion, and then the scientists handle the intellect, and then the religious people handle the spiritual side of it. And the next stage in our evolution is going to be a synthesis between the three, right? And then once that happens, then we'll really, that's why I say, like, we're in the early stages of the church. Like, I think history is going to be millions and millions of years, because it's going to take us time to synthesize all these things and realize that they're not at war with one another. Exactly. And the minute that you take those three disciplines and make it so that they're no longer at war with each other, then you create, and I mean, that's this channel, right? What gets discussed in this channel more than everything? It's true. It's true. Art, science, and spirituality, right? Yeah. And somehow we're all able to kind of get along with each other. I mean, is there any other community on YouTube that would create a space for a guy like Ben to be Ben? Now, Ben gets caught up in having to live up to being Ben. So I think there's a lot of times when Ben wants to be good to you, you know, he feels bad, because Ben really loves you a lot, like a big sister. So he can't, but true, Ben? Because he's trapped in the whole Ben Webb, you know, he can't say that to you. So he has to say, Sori is looking particularly pathetic today. And that's as close as you're going to get. But who else could accept a guy like Ben Webb but our community, right? So it's the next stage in evolution, I believe, is harmony between the three of us.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. So there you are.
All right. Well, this song is actually getting an 11 for me. I really like this 11. Yeah, I really liked it.
Yeah, this Chad guy, man, the song, he's a deep dude.
Could go so many different ways. Like, it could be, there was the baptism thing in there, and there was there's just so many different ways that the song could actually go.
video.
And I think that I liked the versatility of it. It can be something that I can apply to my life, and lots of other people can apply it to theirs. And the video was absolutely insane. I'm not a fan of being trapped in caskets, so that was a little much. But and when he banged, and the sand was coming in.
Yeah. Yeah, between the song and I don't think
It's 11.
I don't think we've ever done a interesting.
So what are you giving it?
I'm having a hard time. I'm not sure. What did you give it?
I gave it an 11.
I'll give it a 10.5. It's a 10.5.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, good job, Chad. You got some high scores.
Chad
today.
did not have a lot of picks today, but the picks that he had, holy shit. The picks that Chad had today were enough for about a 9-hour stream. But we're going to be gracious
At
to you
minimum.
guys and not give you a 9-hour stream. Having said that, dear listener, shout out to Priest. Shout out to AT. All the rest of it. Vin out.
Sorry out.
Gone. All right, you beautiful people. What is it? Let's see what Jambi has to say. Let's see what some miserable thing Jambi has to say here. I think we should start with the tangible and get all the churches, mosques, synagogues to pay their taxes. If all religious institutions paid their taxes, we'd only need to pay 3% instead. Well, Jambi, what I've put forth, the reason that there's an exemption, a religious exemption for taxes, is because those institutions are supposed to be doing a public good to the area that they're operating in. So there's a sort of social contract. What I've proposed is to say that the IRS does a quarterly kind of audit on the church's funds, and if X percent, let's say 65% of the funds are going to community projects, then they would qualify the exemption, and if they don't, then they don't. And that's how I would harmonize that. There's nothing biblically. The only thing that the Bible says in the New Testament to the church about taxes is that you should pay them. There's nothing about a religious exemption for taxes in the Bible. So that's not a biblical eternal principle that you shouldn't have to pay taxes. As a matter of fact, there's nothing in the New Testament that says you shouldn't pay taxes. But I would say on a real practical level, even from a secular point of view, it's the same thing with nonprofits, right? If the nonprofit is giving X amount, is actually following through on what they say their purpose is, then I think we should continue because they're doing a public good. But if like with many other things, the thing that's supposed to be a charity or whatever turns into a honeypot, then I agree with you completely. There should be there should be an audit from an independent person in the IRS, and then they should have to pay taxes if it's found that they're not doing, let's say, 65% of their gross income is not benefiting their immediate community in a tangible way. Then I would say, yeah, you would lose your taxes exempt status for sure. And I don't think, and as people are saying, Lisa's saying, render to Caesar's, et cetera, et cetera. And then, of course, Perkins, right? Mega churches need to be taxed. Make Kenneth Copeland pays taxes and stop swindling these folks so they could buy private jets. Correct. I mean, I do not think that Kenneth Copeland and Creflo Dollar and the rest of those people would ever pass an IRS audit. And I also think if you try to falsify a 501c3 IRS audit, you should face stiff penalties as far as prison. I believe that. I think if you fuck around with that,
with taxes,
I'm talking. So in this world,
being tax exempt,
they do a quarterly audit and say if 65% of your income is going to the community, then fine, we'll maintain your tax exempt status. But if you're at 64 and the vast majority is coming to you, then we're going to tax you because you're running a business. You're not running a nonprofit.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, in that situation, if it's found that you're falsifying that, you should go to prison, because you're taking from the public good. You're telling the government we're providing a public good, and on that basis, I should be able to, dodge taxes. And I think that if you put one or two of those folks in prison and make a real example out of them, that problem will be solved real quick. Real quick. I'm talking about falsification of 501c3 worthiness is what I'm saying. Goodbye.
Yeah, I mean,
Period.
I hear what you're saying. I don't think that it's right that they're saying, hey, the money is going for the community, and they're not doing that. I don't think that's right. Although, I have to say, the more I think about taxes, the more angry I become. I don't have a problem with them taking money and, helping people to live and survive and all those things. I'm completely on board with that. I do not like our money going to fund things that we find morally wrong. And I think that's awful of the government to force people into those situations.
Well, of course. I mean, it's that
the money should only go toward, like repairing the roads and, doing. It should not go toward death.
No. I mean, I agree 100%. What I'm talking about is, I think all of us universally agree that the Creflo Dollar thing, where you're flying around a private jet, to me, I'm sorry, but those standards are way too high for me. For me, when I see the people that we're around, and you're in the ghetto of Lewiston or whatever it is, if you're living significantly better than the people that you're supposed to be serving, I have a serious problem with that. So what I'm saying is, I don't even need the private jet. What I'm saying is, you look at a certain neighborhood. You go, okay, here's the median average in a certain neighborhood. Here's the median salary. Let's say there's $45,000. Okay, and then you're in a church, and the pastor's getting 78. That's where I go. That's obviously not enough for a private jet, but you're almost living twice as good as the people in your vicinity. Yeah. I'm completely against that. Yeah. You don't even need a private jet.
Well,
I would do the audit, and if you're living X amount above the median average, and that's coming from the funds, you lose your tax exempt status. Sorry, because you're running a business. You're not running a charity. Because if you're in a charity, then you're living like the people that you're living around. So that's very stringent for religious whatever, but those are the reforms that I would have.
I don't know about all that, because one, the private jet thing, I don't necessarily have a giant issue with it, as long I don't know, because I'm not in their situation, but like when I think it was Bernie was talking about it, and when you think about if your job is requiring you to go to a lot of different locations, and when you're at those locations, you're going to have to take a flight every single time. So you're going to waste time. You're going to pay extra for your flight ticket. You're going to spend extra time in the airports. And then with the coronavirus thing, I can see why somebody would want to have a private jet. I don't know how expensive that is. I don't know. I do think that it does something about...
Private jets are massively expensive.
Yeah, and I don't know what else he's doing with it. But I do think that if you
have the money for a private jet, you should not be taking donations from anyone. That's insane. NBA players won't get a private jet. I was listening to a thing about Kobe. Kobe wouldn't use a private jet because it costs too much money. It's one of the reasons why he used a helicopter, which ended up killing him. So if you can afford a fucking private jet, you should not be tax exempt at all. You're in the 1% of the 1%. I mean, Bernie Sanders was using a private jet, and he got slammed for it. And that's a politician. So, no. My opinion is, if you have enough capital for a fucking private jet, you should not be getting money from anybody. That's my opinion. My opinion would be, you set a number and say X amount of the funds have to go to the community, otherwise you lose your tax exempt status. And then the second plank would be, if you're living X% above the median average of your community, you would also lose tax exempt status. That would be, because that is, if you were to go into the first century church in the New Testament and say, hey, Paul, you're going to live among these people, their median average is $20K a year. Can you ever see Paul saying, yep, I'm going to live $60K a year in a $20K a year area?
No.
And then Paul wouldn't even accept donations from people.
Right.
When he was allowed to. So to me,
right.
The church, like the whole taxing the church thing, it is a it's such an easy thing for me. Are you providing something for the public good? to where, so the idea is, look, we're doing that service so the rest of the community doesn't have to pay for an extra service. So for example, if the ministry was doing like garbage cleaning, the idea is we're doing it ourselves so you don't even have to spend the extra capital to get a garbage cleaner in the community. That's why you're looking the other way with the taxes, because you're essentially you're essentially already doing that service. So what I'm saying is, if you're living in that area, but you're making more money off of serving than not serving, then that by definition is a business. When you do something and you get more than what you put in, that is definitional of what a business is. That's what it happens when you're in the black or you're in the red. So if a person is in that situation, you're running a business, and that's fine. I'm not mad at you. Run your business. Now, you might have a problem with God when you show up and you use God to run your business, but hey, that's between you and Allah. But don't make me pay for your business, which is what a tax-exempt status is, if you're running the church like a business. Mm-hmm. If you're running the church like the church is supposed to go, then fine. I'm fine with it. But any real Christian preacher or minister worth his salt is not going to want to live in an area above the median average of the people there. That's not the heart. That's not the heart of it. That's not apostolic ministry.
I mean, if I would have wanted to finish too, was that when you go in the plane and you think about, I can see why they would want a private jet, but if you're all about your ministry, then wouldn't you see that as an opportunity to talk to people on the flights? But I don't know if they're getting old and they're so tired of doing it, and they want to
just weak sauce American fucking pansy Christianity. Christianity is a religion for men and women. It's not a religion for soft people who need to be coddled all the time. You think Perpetua who guided the fucking sword to her throat, that type of gangsterism, you think Perpetua would be like, oh yeah, Creflo, we need a plane? Are you kidding me?
No.
Like the ministers here couldn't hold a candle to that girl. Mm-hmm. And she was a girl out in the arena. Like, so what I'm saying is this is a no-brainer to me. And this is not something this is not a debate in China. If you're a minister in China, you're going to die. You're going to die. You're going to spend some time in prison under some serious torture. You're a minister in America. We're talking about whether or not it's okay for you to have a private jet. Like, come on. Like, that shit is crazy to me.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me. Like, look, I have a serious problem with people profiteering off religion. And, the last organization, the last church we were in, it wasn't like that. Like, the dude was like, I mean, he impoverished himself to keep the thing going. Mm-hmm. I mean, the guy was cutting $1,000 checks and all types of shit, taking food out of his kid's mouth to keep the thing going. I was
gonna say he had kids too.
That's okay. That's one type of thing, right? But when you got a guy, he's out there fleecing these people. I grew up watching these evil motherfuckers tell people not to pay their light bill, pay me, and all that, and God will bless you and all. Man, fuck out of here. Mm-hmm. You're gonna die for that shit, and you deserve to. So my thing is like I'm actually surprised. Like, are you joking, or are you being kind of, like, you think there's a space for a Christian minister to have a private jet?
I think I don't know the all the numbers and everything about it. I was looking at it as, well, if you're able to do more ministry stuff because you have a private jet, and like, especially when I'm thinking about it for like the older preachers, like that they're having a hard time getting around, and then for them to be in an airport X amount of time and all of that stuff, like, for them to have
what did they do before aero technology was created? They went on boats and they died.
Well, yeah, but
that's how it goes.
Well, yeah, but why? If we have a great preacher that can fly, I don't think that we have any great preachers.
That's the template that was set. The template that was set was that Jesus came and he died.
Well, I know they will die when it's their time to die, but I'm saying if there's an amazing preacher that can fly all over the place and he's able to do that for longer because he doesn't have to do all the time spent in airports or whatever. I think
that if he's so soft that he needs a fucking private jet to do his ministry, then he's not an amazing preacher. That's what I think. Because,
yeah, but baby, you're...
No. This is not me being harsh or whatever.
No.
Sweetheart, this whole thing where you have I want you to understand what you're talking about. You're talking about a private jet.
And what's the difference between that and what the other person was using?
What other person?
You said that there was somebody that when he died. He died in the. You said he doesn't have a private jet because he does what?
Yeah, all ministers up until 100 years ago, if they were going to travel, had to travel via boat or whatever. So what you're not understanding is the plane ride itself is a massive luxury.
Well, oh yeah, I know that. Well, let me ask you this: what if please let me ask this question.
This just has to be because you want to argue. You can't really believe what you're saying. Go ahead.
Couldn't somebody just rent one of those? If it was about like, look, I have X amount of time, like I'm getting very old, I have X amount of time where I'm going to be able to function, and getting in a plane and flying over there and sitting all the hours in the airport, that's not really, couldn't they just hire a private jet?
It's still massively expensive.
To hire a private jet?
I think Kobe actually would rent out his helicopter. I don't even think he owned a helicopter.
Okay.
Those things are hard. The reason Kobe said he wouldn't get a private jet because they were too much to maintain. Mm-hmm. He's close to being this is Kobe Bryant.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying why.
So if a pastor has enough money to buy a private jet, that's a lot of fucking money. And what I'm saying is, I'm not even saying it should be illegal for him to do it. What I'm saying is, okay, if you've got the type of capital where you can afford a fucking private jet, then pay your fucking taxes.
Oh yeah, I agree with that. I do think too that if you have a private jet, I don't want you to be my pastor.
Yeah, I can't respect you, bro.
Yeah, you can't.
I can't respect you.
I mean, I'm trying to.
It's one thing if like you're like ministering to Donald Trump, right? Because Trump will say, "I'll send you a jet." Okay, fine. Mm-hmm. Okay, fine. Let me say this. If a guy is living in Cupertino, California, and that's where he's doing ministry, then yeah, that he needs a 6-figure salary. Otherwise, he can't do ministry there. So I'm not saying, oh, you have to be poor to do ministry. What I'm saying is...
it's coming down to percentages, so it doesn't matter where you are.
Correct.
It's just a percentage.
I'm just talking about the slices, that's all.
Right.
If you're doing ministry and you're living noticeably better than everybody around you because of your base salary, then you need to be paying taxes. Period. Mm-hmm. End of story. That's my perspective on it. I think it's a no-brainer.
If it's just coming down to you should be paying your taxes if you're making... If you're pulling them, I agree with that.
Yeah, I think if it's a charity, the charity. Here's how I define it. Here's how I define charity. Right? I'd say, look, you're a 501c3 if you're putting out more money than you're keeping. If you're keeping more money than you're putting out, you're a business. If you're putting out more money than you're keeping, you're a charity. Okay, fine. That's going to qualify you. Secondly, if you're the main operator, who's the main operator of this charity? If you as the main operator from the funds itself, right? So if you are in a $50,000 area and the funds that you're getting from the church are $100,000, you're going to lose your 501c3 status. But if the funds you're getting from the church are commensurate with the funds that a normal person in your neighborhood makes, fine. But if you're living if you're getting twice as much salary as the median average of the person living there, that's okay. But you're a business owner, you're not a charity guy, and if that's the case, we're going to tax you like a business owner. Fine, we're business owners, that's fine. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. And you're saying that you disagree with that? Or no? No,
I don't disagree with that, like the percentages, if we're going to percentages, but I just disagreed with, like, I don't know what it is to be one of these pastors. I don't know how much life it sucks out of you to basically pastor huge groups of people. And can you imagine having that giant church like that?
Well, I'm sure it's hard, but so what?
And so if you're going on a trip
that's what they
where
want.
You're going to speak at another place, then you're going to speak at another place. Well, instead of having to talk to more people, maybe you want to have a spot where you can be like, I'm just get to location A to B. But yeah, I don't really think that fits the... I know I can feel your faces that you're making behind my head right now. Look,
I don't even know if you're being serious.
Thank you for that.
If you're just trying to create good TV or whatever.
Thank you for that. I think if it's going on percentages, then yeah, then it should absolutely. If you're making more than what the average person that you're, how does that even happen? How can they be making more than the average person makes?
Because the average people who are making $40 a year...
There's just a bunch of them.
are being good Christians and tithing like they were told to, even though the New Testament says no such thing. and so they're living in a way that's different than the other people. And what I'm saying is, I'm not going to say that should be illegal. What I'm going to say is, okay, fine. Then tax your then
I agree
then pay
with
your
that.
taxes.
I agree with that. If it's just about we're just doing the taxes thing, then yeah, I'm going with you on that.
But the real question is somebody wrote it down here, and I can't find it. So there you go. All right. Well, there you go. That was a very wonderful story. We're working on something right now. I think you guys are going to like. One of our friends just messaged us. Oh, that's why you took the phone from me, huh?
That's on Thursday. Yeah, because I wanted to check the schedule before
Holy shit, that's on this Thursday?
Yeah.
Okay.
But we have a live stream scheduled, so
And we gotta
I'm trying to get the link first,
Okay.
and then we can...
Okay. Yeah, that's going to be a very complex operation because that might be a thing where one of our DJs actually trumps one of our band friends. That's going to be an interesting discussion. Anyway, we're the coolest show in town, bitches. How many of you have? Oh, I'm not going to say it.
Anyway, there you have it, Chad. This was a really great stream. I really liked
the freaking Chad stream. Holy shit, Chad!
I'm definitely a fan of Imminence, and I want to hear more. More.
It was really smart the way he did it too, because he bookended it with Imminence. So it was Imminence in the front, Imminence in the back.
He did it
and
on
then
purpose
Bring Me the Horizon, and then that was.
You were right.
That was smart the way that he did that. I'm actually pretty intense. Yeah. So shout out to Chad Osborne, bro. Shout out to Chad Osborne for sure. Really good stream selection.
He's the one that's on for Thursday. I don't think we're going to need to move you though, because I think what we have going on is going to be earlier in the day.
Well, if it's Sean, I'm definitely not moving that shit.
But that was really sweet of you.
Sorry, but it's overshadowed Sean. Yeah, you see what happens when you have people that have your number that can contact you directly.
I told you to get that number set up. I'm dealing with Teespring. Okay.
Okay.
So if you want to.
Oh no. Jambi says, oh no. Oh, by the way, Jambi has heard some of Soraya's vocals, and he says they are absolute shit. Jambi.
I need to practice more.
Jambi, you should be nice to your sister. How could you say that to your bandmate? What a horrible, terrible human being. It's okay. Do you want to continue to sing? No? All right. Well, now because of Jambi's horrible words to Soraya, we're gonna have to find a different.
Found a new singer.
We're gonna have to find a different vocalist. Yeah, actually, I was talking to.
I'll just do the lights.
I was actually talking to one of my homies.
Yep,
yeah, we talked to homegirl right here.
Yep.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. I'll do the lights.
Yeah. Oh
I'll
my
also be in charge of the pyro end of the.
Yeah, you be.
The pyro end of the show.
Poor Jambi. Jambi's like, Vin is talking shit again. I did not say that about her.
Jimmy, I would never believe you said something like that.
Please.
I knew where it was coming from.
What's he going to say? You suck vocally? Vin should kick you out of the band? I should put my ex-girlfriend in the band? Like, what's he going to say? Obviously, he's going to say that you're good.
That's how I knew you were lying.
Look,
what just happened, what you just saw happen was Vin was saying what he really thinks, but hiding behind the name of Jambi.
There may or may not be truth to that. Having said that, dear listener, Vin out. No, I haven't debated a Jewish person. I did a debate on Isaiah 53. I don't publish those debates, to be honest with you. If you want them, I'll give them to you. But there really isn't any space on the channel, and Soraya wants me to open up some religious channel or something like that where I can dump all of those. But I'm not gonna do that because nobody's interested in that shit. All right, I'm out of here, guys. Vin out.
Sori out.
Gone.